So, hi Nishal, welcome to this mock interview session. So, the format of this session would be that I will interview you for around 30 minutes, and then I will spend the next 10 to 15 minutes discussing how you did in terms of what went well, what really did not go well, and what can be improved. Does that sound okay?
Yes, that sounds amazing.
Right. So, Nishal, I do have your CV with me, but I would love you to walk me through your profile, if you can, please.
All right. So again, my name is Nishchal, and I am currently pursuing my BBA from IFM College, which is located in Bangalore and is a part of Bangalore University. Right. My specialization, since I'm in the final year, my specialization is marketing, which is very similar to the field for the mock interview that I'm appearing for today. Right. Currently, I hold about 2 years of work experience. I have interned as a marketing intern with Sotheby's, which is one of the biggest auction houses in the world. Right. Along with that, I have worked on a startup of my own, right, which was about immigration and language services. Right. We were trying to create an integrated platform for global travel. Right. Post that, I worked with a brand called HYRR, which is an e-waste and sustainability management firm. I was working as a product manager for them and helping them develop an education technology product. And currently, I'm working with an organization called HYRR as a marketing intern, growth
Wonderful.
marketing intern.
Wonderful. Sounds interesting. Seems that you have done a lot of stuff. I would want to hear about one specific project that you have done, which you feel has been one of your best ones and which is very close to your heart when it comes to the challenges and the efforts that you have made and the results that you have eventually achieved in that.
All right. So I would just take up a project instead of focusing on the work, and I would just take up a project that I have recently done. Right. So last year, there's this annual marathon that happens in Bangalore every year. It's called Kanyathon. Right. It's called Kanyathon Run for Her. So it's basically a marathon which is set to raise awareness for women empowerment and people in rural areas of south of Kerala and Tamil Nadu, and help those women and children get out of poverty and get access to education and healthcare and the other various services, right? So for that, I was a part of the team that was hosting the Kanyathon Marathon, which is one of the biggest marathon in Karnataka, right? So as a part, I was heading my college for the same, right? And our college was tasked with sales and promotion, right? Since handling sales and
Sorry,
promotion,
it was tasked with?
our college was tasked with sales and promotion,
Okay.
right? And being the head of sales and promotion, there were a plethora of challenges that we faced, right? Including what the entire strategy of promoting the event is going to be, regarding the strategies of how to increase and boost the sales, and how to actually get people interested, how to create the buzz in the market, right? And how to actually get conversions in terms of sales so that we can raise the maximum amount of money for donation, right? And since it was it was in part with Cry Foundation, which is one of the biggest NGOs in the country and the world, as you must know. Then, the ultimate goal was to generate the maximum amount of money using the tickets and the passes and donate it for the same to the Cry Foundation. Right. So the challenges that we primarily faced was, firstly, the event that we were hosting had been happening for the last 5 years. So we had to maintain an image, right? That was the primary challenge that was being faced. And plus, last year it was about time when the COVID restrictions were easing in, just about to ease in, right? So it was actually very difficult to get people actually on the venue with the mass crowd, and the limit. And there was, along with that, there was also a limitation on the number of people that could gather. Right. So the amount, and our targets were about getting 1 lakh people associated with the marathon, right? And the event permissions were 1,000. This was store of 2,000, so 1,000 per day. So we had to divide the event into 2 separate days. So what our team came up with was an idea to make the event a virtual event as well, wherein every person could connect on their phone and have a virtual run, right? And the app would measure the distance as well as time. So people all across the country, so the event all across the country could just download the app and actually run in their specific field course that they decide, and actually be a part of a marathon, right? So what that did was not only take the event from a city-wide event to a national level event. That was one of the key challenges that we faced, which also helped us increase the sales and also bring down the prices of per pass. Again, since the cost of per person cost was lower, so the pass number of passes, so the volume could be increased, but the price could be lowered.
Okay, interesting. And what was, if there is one learning that you can draw out from that experience, what would that be? From a person who is going to pursue a management career, what is that one management lesson that you can draw out from your internship experience?
From the internship experiences, in which company specific or
This
the
from
event
this
specific?
internship, or from this project rather, not
All right.
internship. What is one management lesson that you have learned from this project, if any?
All right. All right. So I would say the management lesson that I learned was consistency. Primarily consistency. What I realized and my entire team realized as we went along is that it does not matter how much quality you produce. It does matter you have to maintain a minimum or a set bar of quality, but you have to be very consistent with not only with putting the content and the marketing content out there, but you also have to be very consistent with the follow-ups. What I learned primarily is that follow-ups go a very long way, right? And most leads are just wasted due to the lack of follow-up. That was one key learning that I had realized.
Okay, interesting, very interesting. So Nishal, let me just put you in one situation, and I would love to hear your response to that situation. um, let's say you are a senior government official of a certain district. Let's say you are a district magistrate, and suddenly hospitals in your district are seeing a lot of spike in terms of the number of incoming patients, and the disease or the illness is being traced to some contaminated water supply, right? And suddenly, the trend started yesterday, and today you are sitting in your office and you receive reports that the cases in various district hospitals and even in private hospitals are just going upwards by the hour. Now, as a district magistrate, what will be your sort of your immediate response, and what will be your thought process, and how will you put your head around the situation and plan out how you are going to spend the resources and your bandwidth over this issue over the next few days? So would love to understand from you if what will be your response to such a situation.
All right. So, as the district magistrate, the first thing that I would be doing would be analyzing the type of disease it is and figuring out whether it's a communicable or a non communicable disease in order to understand the scale at which it could spread. Right? That would be the initial response. Along with that, I would analyze the mortality rates for the same. Right? And if there are any, hopefully there aren't, but if there are any mortality rates to this, I would like to figure that out, and I would then try to understand the resources involved in treating the patients who have been diagnosed with it, right? And fourthly, and most importantly, as an individual, I would spend a lot of resources in trying to quarantine the source from which it is originating, right? And try to isolate it from all the other line, the water main supply, wherever the supply is coming from. I would like to isolate it from the other supplies of the city, and so that it does not spread any further through the medium of water through which it's spreading. Right. Once I have done that in the initial few hours, that would be the response. In the first day, I would be looking at the resources. Since I would have an analysis by the end of the day, again, I would try to fast track it and get the analysis in a couple of hours as to the required resources. Then I would, and firstly, based on the communicability of the disease, I would try and gather the resources, the medications, the treatment facilities, and all of that. For thirdly, I would start a mass campaign, right, awareness campaign, so that people all around the district know that such a thing is happening, and in case someone has procured water from that particular source, they could avoid and not consume that water so that they can stay safe from that disease. And fourthly, I would set up an immediate response team, right, which would include a small portion of staff from all the hospitals in the district, so which can attend to patients in the nearest zone, right? And one more thing that I would like to do is divide the city into zones, right, based on the number of cases in that area, right? And the zones where the number of cases are more, I would like to allocate more resources in terms of personnel, treatment, and medication, and the monetary association. And also in the areas with the max number of cases, I would try to locate and find hospitals which have a large infrastructure, so that a part of the infrastructure can solely be dedicated to that. And over the period of coming days, I would try to sink in the entire. I would like to make an entire ecosystem around, including all of these resources and analysis, and so that and form a process regarding the same of how the treatment needs to go through. And one of the most important thing would be creating a database which would be linked to the Aadhaar card of each citizen of the district, so that we can highlight and point out where the cases are coming from and how fast these cases are spreading. So that would be my response over the course of the first few days.
Okay. Interesting. So, I mean, one of the things possibly you would also want to do is assess if you have enough human and material resources to take care of the situation, right? When I say human resources, I mean the doctors, the nurses, the paramedic staff, and then obviously the medicines and other things, right? So that's possibly one of the areas that was kind of missed out in your assessment.
Okay, so when I said initial assessment in terms of the resources required, I had included I must have not said it out loud, but I had included in terms of treatment resources, I meant the personnel including.
Okay. One question, Nischal, I would want to understand, some from someone of your generation, right? Just around 20s. We see that a large part of your generation is hooked on to social media as if there is nothing else to do, right? What are your views? Do you think that social media is a menace, is an evil, as someone who belongs to that generation, or a more prudent use of social media is helpful in certain ways as well? Are you totally against it? Are you totally for it? Or if you are in somewhere in the middle, what are your views on the use of social media and sort of the extent to which it is being consumed and utilized by the younger generation? What are your views around that?
Right. So, as a personal belief, I think social media is a necessary evil. Whilst being a very useful and powerful tool for my generations and generations to come, and the generations right before me who have clear access to technology, it can be a very, very powerful tool. But again, unlike like every other thing on the planet, if you overdo something, it becomes harmful. So I feel if it is done in moderation, it's a very useful tool to have. But again, if you are just focused and hooked on to that throughout the day and do not focus on the other key aspects of your life, including interpersonal communication and spending time in physical activities, studying, or viewing actual content other than that available through screens and social media, let's say reading a book. If you are including all of those aspects, I think social media is just a key equipment that one needs to have to survive in today's day and age. But again, if that is the primary go-to, that if I'm waking up in the morning and looking at my phone and sleeping at the night while looking at my phone, or any other media device that I am accessing social media through, I think it becomes harmful. So again, just like every useful good thing in the world, overdoing it will lead to certain harm.
Okay, great. So what is your one people or social skill that you are most proud about, and what is that one social or people skill which you believe you still need to learn?
All right, so that one skill that I'm particularly proud about is I am very good at talking. I mean, so I have been told, not claiming it, but I have been told I'm very good at talking. I make people comfortable in talking to me. So I have been told by a lot of people that I'm very adaptable according to the situation. I understand how to respond in a particular situation, that in a manner that a person who's talking to me does not feel excluded and does not feel uncomfortable or conscious in talking to me. Why is that? One skill that I would say that I still need to learn is being a person who was a little healthy in their growing up years. I am still a little conscious in terms of social validation. So for me, getting validated socially is a thing that is, again, like my generation, due to one of adding to one of the more harmful sides of social media, the perfect body type, the perfect vacations, the perfection, looking for perfection in everything that we do, that we see on social media. That kind of social validation is still, I'm trying to learn that is, you do not need to be validated by others. But again, I feel that sometimes I can use it to my benefit by understanding what the other person wants. But in most cases, sometimes I end up doing harm by not feeling validated or feeling unmotivated due to that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Great. So, Nishal, with this, I will stop the interview time, right? And now we will spend the next few minutes discussing how it all went. And as you were speaking, you must have noticed I was noting down a few points, which was essentially a feedback for you, right? So what I will do is I will start off with the set of questions I asked you, and then we will go through those questions one by one. Okay. And the idea of this is the entire feedback. The fact that I have a feedback doesn't mean that you did bad or you did well. It's just what I observed as someone who has interviewed thousands of folks like you. From my experience, what are the ways in which you can improve your performance? So that's what the feedback is all about, right? So before I start, I would just want to have a sense from you as to how you felt about it and what do you think has been your performance. If I were to ask you to self-assess yourself, how would you self-assess?
In terms of self-assessment, again, I feel that I try to be very honest and very real about projecting the type of person I am and the qualities and the weaknesses that I have. So I feel in terms of being authentic, it would be on the higher end of the spectrum, the performance. And in terms of quick thinking and coming up with analytical responses, I feel the performance could have been better. I'm not very sure. As I just shared, I'm a little hard on myself.
No, absolutely right. I think so. Let me just start off with some sort of feedback for you. First of all, at a broader level, I love the energy you had, right? It just felt to me that you are very excited about this interview and you are really willing to be part of this interview. So that passion came across, which is an amazing thing, right? Even in the real interviews, you need to keep that passion up. You need to have that energy up, because that's like one of the basic hygiene things when you go ahead in any interview. Honestly, right? I felt that what you're saying is coming right from within, and you have the experiences you have shared. You have been through those experiences, and that's why they are coming out so naturally. So yes, the passion was there, and as you rightly said, you were very authentic and honest, and that's something which I really liked. Coming to your introduction, I think one of the things which is not just part of the introduction, but which is there across as you speak, right, as part of your overall communication, is that all of us have certain pauses when we speak, right? Some of us are silent when we have the pauses. Some of us have certain noise or certain voice that we have when we are silent, when we have those pauses. In your case, the pauses comprise of the word right. The amount of right that you are saying in each of your the narratives or in each of your dialogues is a little too much, right? Because it's coming across like right.
Which is located in Bangalore and is a part of Bangalore University. Right. My specialization, since I'm in the final year, my specialization is marketing, which is very similar to the field for the mock interview that I'm appearing for today. Right. Currently, I hold about 2 years of work experience. I have interned as a marketing intern with Sotheby's, which is one of the biggest auction houses in the world. Right. Along with that, I have worked on a startup of my own, right, which was about immigration and language services. right? We were trying to create an integrated platform for global travel, right? Post that,
So that's like a basic thing which you need to consciously work on. So try and stay away, be very conscious when you're speaking, especially in public speaking or interviewing, that you should avoid the word right. You should avoid using the word right too much, because that just comes out a little odd. Your introduction was broadly did tell me what you are about it, but it did not tell me, it did not help me establish a connect with you in terms of what sort of a person you are, what sort of a character you are, right? That what you should have said a few things with a lot of excitement, and you should have clearly pointed out, hey, you know what, I love doing this project. I did this project in the final year of internship. I've totally loved it, and I feel that this is something in which I want to build my career. So I did not get any of those pointers about your character or personality from your uh, introduction. I did get the facts, right? And the thing is that in these interviews, when you're introducing yourself, the facts are there on the CV more or less, right? But still, the interviewer wants to, get your introduction, and the reason is because they really want to understand who the real person is behind that CV. So you have to bring your personality out when you're introducing yourself, right? A little more. Um, then came the internship experience. So the feedback on the internship experience is, the broad level feedback is that it went on for too long. It was very long, right? And the problem with long is, Nishchal, while when you are speaking as a candidate, everything you are speaking is something you have gone through, you have experienced. So at times the candidates do not realize that they have already spoken a lot. But for us, who's the interviewer, who's pretty much stranger to what you have done, it becomes little challenging for the interviewer to understand each and everything that you are saying, right? So what I felt was it was long, and after a point in time, I just lost you. I was hearing a few things, I was able to connect some loose dots, but I didn't get the entire story intact, right? And I felt that one of the things that happened was that you did not start off by branding that marathon in a big way. You did say it was Kanyathon and it is done. Every year, almost 1 lakh people take part in it, and this marathon ends up generating, I don't know what, a crore of charity for the rural area, for the people in rural areas. There was no background to it, because once I get once I'm told that this is a huge event, then my interest increases, right? This is all part of storytelling. You have to set the base as huge, and there was a certain scale and all that. And then you should have said that our college was tasked with sales and promotions, and my role, one of the most important thing that was missing in your entire narration, was what you did. All the time you use the word we, right? Which is amazing, but I'm not hiring for we, I'm hiring you. So while it is good that you expressed and told us everything in terms of the team, but I also wanted to hear, what did you do? What was your small contribution to the entire uh, initiative? So you could have said that I led the sales and promotion team, or I led this part of the sales and promotion team. I was particularly involved in this, and I reached out to these guys. And when I was doing that, I also realized that these are these challenges and all that. So what I was missing was you in the whole picture. And I felt, you could have done better with a certain structure. So there are multiple structures which you can Google about. So for example, there's a STAR framework. The one framework which I suggest candidates is about giving a background and the objective, which is about telling what's the scale of the marathon. Then what are the sort of activities that you did, right? What was your team about? What was your role in it? Then you talk about the challenges, and then you talk about the result. In this one, I also missed the result part. I would have loved to hear a line that this Kanyathon was one of the most successful Kanyathons that had happened in the recent years, or something which closes the loop and finishes the entire story, right? And it's always good to say that, okay, let me first tell you about the marathon. This is the background of the marathon. These are the challenge. These are the activities we had to do. These are the challenges, and these are the results. So you can actually put us in some sort of structure. We as interviewers love structures because that helps us understand what you're saying in a very quick manner, and it's so easy for us to really understand your contributions to the whole project, right? So that is a important thing, and an experience which is full of numbers, size, scale. You're talking about sales, prices, cost. There was no number that you quoted. The story would have been like a super hit story had there been some numbers. If you have numbers for any of your projects which you can share, then please make sure you always share those numbers, because numbers is what makes these stories most interesting. That this much was the sales, this much was the price, the sales dropped from this to this, or it rose from this to this. That's what makes it so exciting, right? So that's the feedback on the internship part. In terms of the management lessons, while what you said, it was absolutely honest, spot on, and I'm really delighted that you said that, because it's not easy for people like at your age to realize that the consistency is very important. The ability to be at it, at a certain job till it's done, is a really, really important skill, and a really important sort of a mindset that all of you should have. A better word could have been rigor or discipline, right? From a management standpoint, I might call it sort of a project rigor or a project discipline. That would have been a better word to use, but consistency is fine. I think that was a good response, short response after that internship experience. Then came the situation. So the feedback on the situation case was that again, the feedback which I gave in the internship thing, it was long. So you went on for long, and what I realized was that it was just coming across to me as a laundry list of things you will do, right? Because you were thinking on your feet, and you were just speaking as you were thinking, right? So there were a lot of stuff that you said, and a lot of stuff which was very, very good, at an individual level, that these are the things you will do. But from a case response or a situation response in an interview, I feel it could have a much better structure, right? Because structure is something I provided you when I was describing the case. What would you do in the immediate term? What would you do over the next few days, right? So you should have kind of really stuck to that, and divided your response accordingly. You tried to do that, but things got mixed up a little, because there are certain things that you said for later, they could have been done actually immediately. Certain things that you said for immediate, that could have been done later. For example, if I'm a management student and I'm responding to a health epidemic by saying I will analyze the disease and all that, I mean, analyzing disease is not a management guy's forte. That's something you will ask the doctors to do, or the researchers to do, and that's not something you will do immediately. If you get a call today, one of your subordinate calls you, and you're sitting in your office, say, hey, you know what, Nishchal, we have like 100 cases in the last 1 hour across all the hospitals. Are you going to call him? Are you going to tell him back, why don't you analyze the disease first? No. You're going to first ask him that, okay, I understand. Let's just, clear the confusion up. First, tell me, do you have enough doctors in hospitals? Do you have enough medicines in hospitals? Do you have doctors on leave? What would you do? You will issue a notification from official notification saying all the doctors have to come back from leave. You will go on to extend give all the permissions to extend the working hours of the doctors and the nurses and the paramedics, right? So those are the first few things that you will do immediately the moment you get calls. And then you will possibly, one thing you did not say was, you will consult with the health chief medical officer of the district or the health inspector, and try and hold an emergency meeting, get hold of the whole situation, draw out a plan, right? It felt to me you took everything in your own hand. that I will do this, I will divide the city in zones, I will do that and all that. While you will do it, but there is a certain, if you're sitting in a real world, imagine you are really a district magistrate, and that's what you should do in all these cases, that you should imagine yourself to be what the case is asking you to do. Just put yourself in the shoes of district magistrate sitting in his office and getting these calls, right? So in that sense, I felt that the response could have been better. Having said that, your response was quite good in the sense that you actually covered a lot of things which made a lot of sense. So, good marks to you, but it could have been much better as well. Points, yes. And the other thing is that ideally, in certain cases, or in this situation and case-based questions, you should summarize. You should always summarize. So in a nutshell, I have a 3-point plan. I will first do this. Second, I will punch all my initiatives under this and do this. Third, I will do this. So you need to draw out a summary before you finish your response. And especially when you have gone on to speak about the case for 3-4 minutes, it's unfair to expect that the interviewer would have understood it all. Right. I think social media is a necessary evil. I think everything was fine. I think you should have given more examples around how social media is useful. You can also say that, while people keep saying that being on social media is bad, but social media is also a source of a lot of information for us. Look at LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is a professional network which helps us further a career. Instagram is helping so many people sell their products, and there's so many businesses that are running on various social platforms. So we cannot just say that social media is an evil. There are certain parts of social media which are amazing, which we should use. But and the way you have rightly put is that it should be done in moderation was a very nice way to say that. But you should have given examples of why social media is good as well. While all of us understand it's an evil because people keep on scrolling through it mindlessly, but why it is good should also have been described in better manner. So that's something you could have done in the in that question. On which skills you are proud of, and of which skills you feel the need of improving. I think you should also back up your claims with examples. So for example, you said that people say that you're very good at talking. So when you say talking, I believe a better word to talking is communication and articulation, right? So, you could have said that the feedback that I get from a lot of my peers and colleagues and other folks is that, my communication and articulation, the way I'm able to convey my messages to the other people is really good. For example, in this last project that I was doing at Kanyathon, I had to manage a team of 5 people, and all of them were at different places, and I needed to maintain that all of them understand their role for the success of the project. And this is what I did, and this is why I feel that is a strength of mine, or that is something that I am really proud about, right? That would have made the answer really really nice. The other part, social validation, I think I like the way you put it up, that you are always looking for social validation, that you need the feedback, right? You can't just live in isolation, that you have done something and there's no feedback coming. That's something that you cannot really live with. I think that was absolutely perfect. I have no issues with that. But broadly, I think if I were to summarize, I think first of all, you need to stop saying right a little too. You're overusing the word right a little too much. You need to, I think, once you prepare for some interviews in a better manner, for example, now if I ask you about the Kanyathon question, now you will answer it in a much better manner. You will put some structure. So when you go back, please make sure you think about all your internship experiences in a structured manner, right? Because you could be asked to describe any one of them. So you should always try and put all your experiences, project experiences, in a structured story-like manner with numbers, and which are not long. right? The narration should not be very long. The maximum should go up to like 60 to 90 seconds, not more than that, ideally. And then obviously practice a lot of case-based questions. Always in a case-based or a situation-based question, uh, always have a structure to follow. And one important thing which I missed out earlier was that whenever you ask a situation-based question, you should take a minute from the interview saying, okay, give me a minute to gather my thoughts. There's no harm in that. You don't have to start off immediately saying that, okay, this is my answer. Because that 1 minute, if you just focus on the problem, that 1 minute can really help you structure your thoughts and give you a very, very strong strong points which you can put up in a better manner instead of just starting off without thinking, right? So that's another thing. And I think rest is good. I think fundamentally your passion, your energy, your authenticity and honestness is coming across, and I think you will do really well in any interview you take up.
All right. I have a follow-up question. Thanks a lot for the compliment. I do have a follow-up question. Right. As you mentioned, for the case-based questions, it's all right to take a minute's time before answering the question. Right. As you again, you were saying that I use the word right a lot. So is it all right in interviews for me to take pauses take a little bit of pauses, like let's say for a second or two? It's all right so that I can gather my thoughts as I speak.
Absolutely, because we all know, I mean, forget the interview for a candidate. Interview is a very, very important part of the process, and obviously at times these interviews are important and are happening at critical career junctures, right? So we do understand that you will need time to think about your experiences, you gather your thoughts together. Even when we go out and sit in few meetings, it's better to be more articulate and more thoughtful instead of just speaking top of the mind. So it's absolutely okay to give pauses, as long as you are in the flow. It should not be that the pause and goes on for too long and your expression is one which is showing that you are lost instead of thinking. Should be avoided, right? You know what I mean? Basically, if you take a pause and you are completely out of wits in terms of what you're about to speak next, that should be avoided.
All right. Okay. That's all. That was one, I think, primary question that I had, that if it was okay to actually think think while I'm speaking and does not look odd. Because what I have understood, or my research tells me, that thinking on the feet or having instantaneous response to problem situations is one thing that most interviewers are expecting. So it's quite
I am also expecting the thinking on the feet doesn't necessarily mean that you have to just respond immediately, right? Even if you take a pause of 30 seconds to gather your thoughts for a case sort of a question, that is still thinking on the feet. That's, I'm not giving you like 30 hours to think about it where you can go out research. You are still thinking on the feet. Thinking on the feet should not be misunderstood with like the instant responses. At times what happens is when you start off instantly without any structure, the problem is that when you don't have structure in a certain response, you really don't know where to end. It just diverges out. What structure does, it brings convergence to the whole narrative. That, okay, there is this step 2, step 3, step 4, and there's the close. If you do not have any structure, what happens is you just start saying things one by one. The bulleted responses start coming in. All of them are very relevant at a bullet level. But if I put them together in a story, I don't find any form or any substance of any story. What I find is a bunch of bulleted statements, which I can just maybe I can consume. Yeah, so that's what the idea is.
All right. Thank you so much. That was quite an insight.
Thank you, Nishal. I think I really hope this feedback is helpful, and I would really urge you to work on these feedbacks. And I'm sure you will really succeed in all the interviews you take up. All the best.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Yep. Thanks.